Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here for some exciting Doctor Who Big Finish news. And that is the news that Jodie Whittaker, the 13th Doctor herself, and Mandip Gill, who played Yasmin Khan alongside the 13th Doctor, are returning to their roles as the 13th Doctor and Yasmin Khan for brand new Big Finish audio starting next July 2025 and releasing a story every 2 months from there to May 2027, making 12 brand new 13th Doctor adventures releasing every 2 months from next July. This is major bombshell news announcement that dropped today, Saturday the 13th of July 2024, a year ahead of the first story. But that's okay, they do these tons of big announcements around a year ahead. Christopher Eccleston's return as the Ninth Doctor was announced in August 2020, and his first box set came out about September 2021. Was it August, September 2021? Yeah, I think it was end of August of 2020. His first box set was August 21. So they announced that they're starting production, or they're going to start production on the first stories, and they're going to be releasing twice monthly from next July, which I was surprised they're not doing box set. They're not doing like 3 or 4 stories a box set and releasing those every 3, 4, 6 or 5 to 7 months. Like they're not releasing it like twice yearly, but you get 6 to 8 stories every year. It's going to be 12. It's one every 2 months to make 12 in total over 2 years, as opposed to maybe 3 to 4 story box sets over 2 years. Which is what they're going to be doing with the Fugitive Doctor, which was announced ages ago, and then at March 2024 this year, it was confirmed it was going ahead, as was the Call Me Master series with Sacha Dwhan's Master, that they will be beginning next winter. So the Fugitive Doctor, Jo Martin, her first box set would be in January, and her second box set July next year, and then the Call Me Master one February and August, and they were going to be the first two of at least 4, I believe, each. So I think that's the case. Actually, that's another big news announcement that came out earlier this week, is that Jo Martin's Fugitive Doctor is going to be appearing in the final Once and Future episode, Coda, which will be released in November this year, and we'll see her alongside Jonathan Carley's War Doctor, Jonathan Carley taking over the role from John Hurt for Big Finish War Doctor stories starting in summer 2021, release-wise. With the War Doctor Begins, the was like the Flames, the first one, the first story. Hang on, give me a sec. Forged in Fire. So Jonathan Carley took over as the War Doctor from the War Doctor Begins, Forged in Fire, the first Begins box set. I've done reviews of all of the War Doctor audios on the Universals for John Hurt's and Begins. Not done the recent Sontarans versus Rutan story yet, but maybe sometime down the line. Then we're going to be getting another War Doctor story with Samuel West's Morbius, who made a recent comeback in his own Dark Gallifrey trilogy earlier this year. So it's going to be interesting. And then he's going to be in Once and Future Coda. Actually, he was in the last Once and Future as well, in the Union as well, so made a appearance there. But yeah, he's going to be one of 2 main Doctors in Coda, which is going to be exciting. It's going to be interesting to see how the 2 non-numbered Doctors are going to interact with each other, especially as they don't really know who the other one is, because the War Doctor would have forgotten who Fugitive is, and War is in Fugitive's futures, if Timeless Children's anything to go by. So it's going to be interesting seeing how 2 Doctors who have no idea who the other one is are going to interact with each other, as opposed to, say, one of the Doctors knows their past selves, and or the other one knows about their future, etc., etc. No, these ones are going to have absolutely no idea until they end up meeting, and that's if they even acknowledge it when they get to that point either. So yeah, also Benny Summerfield is going to be in it, so it's going to be at least good. because I know a lot of people weren't entirely happy with the rest of the series. Once in Future, it was a bit of a disappointment for most people. I liked it for the most part. I thought it was fine, but yeah, it's not really the big anniversary series we were all hoping for, outside of throwing lots of doctors and characters into a story for 7, 8 with this one, Adventures. But Benny Summerfield's an awesome character, and Lisa Bowerman's an awesome actress, so it's going to be at least decent just on those levels alone. What? I'm a Bernie Summerfield and Lisa Bowerman fan. Don't judge. Well, I say fan. I mean, I haven't checked out much of the spin-off stories themselves, but in her appearances in Doctor Who, yes. Anyway, so that's the big announcement. Jodie Whittaker and Mandip Gill are going to be back as the 13th Doctor, and Yasmin Khan in brand new Doctor Who 13th Doctor Adventure audios starting next July. And then every 2 months from there. Again, strange they're not doing the box sets for these ones, especially since they stopped doing the monthly range, because people were finding that a bit difficult to get into, and box sets were seen as a bit more easy. And that's why the 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctors are having box sets instead of still having the monthly range adventures. And that's why the 8th Doctor went to box sets in 2012 after he had 4 series of individual stories in the 8th Doctor, all the adventures. But then they carried on that series with the box sets, starting with Dark Eyes 1. So, yeah, besides his appearance in the final monthly range story, of course, but he's basically been in the box sets. He's basically had box sets for his adventures and popping up in other stories as well, of course. But in terms of his ones, it's been box sets since 2012. 4th Doctor has been box sets since the beginning, as have been, and the 3rd Doctor one's sort of volume type releases, and then later transitioned to box set-esque style releases, and then 1st and 2nd as well when they got to those, and then 5, 6, and 7 after the monthly range ended. Also 9 and 10 as well with theirs, and War Doctor. So basically, we've been in box set mode from Big Finish for a while for most of them. Either from the beginning of the Doctor Adventures or coming to it later down the line. But with 13s, they're going to be doing one every 2 months individually, rather than a box set every 6 months, for example. And that seemed to be what may have been what happened with Once and Future and the recent Sontarans versus Rutans, is they prepared their stories for possibly a box set, or certainly at least for Sontarans versus Rutans, it seemed like that was going to be the case. And then they got released individually. At least that's the theory from the fans, is that they may have been planned as a box set, at least for Sontarans versus Rutans anyway, and then they got released in monthly releases. And it seems that Dark Gallifrey is following a similar thing with its individual trilogies, each episode getting their own individual release instead of a box set release, which is quite interesting. So, considering they wanted to go very box set focused recently, they've now gone back to kind of doing some individual releases as well, and 13's releases are going to kind of follow that, but now every 2 months instead of monthly. But on the other hand, that does mean they can do a constant stream of stories every 2 months over the 2-year period, as opposed to lumping 3 or 4 together and then waiting another 6 months for the next one. So I suppose that kind of is their working and their strategy. And yeah, that works. I'm just surprised that they're not doing a box set. That's all. I'm just surprised they're not doing it. But I get the strategy. And yeah, I suppose it's sort of a 2 monthly 13th Doctor releases, in a similar vein to when the monthly range did begin. It was twice. It was every 2 months, not monthly. That started around with the 4th release at the start of 2000. The first 3 in 1999, and I think they were once every 2 months, and then they went monthly from the 4th release at the start of 2000. And also the Torchwood monthly range is actually only monthly for about 6 months of the year, so that one's not quite correct. There's not a Torchwood release every month. It's a Torchwood release every month for a 6 month period. Or at least that's what I believe it is. But yeah, it's an interesting strategy, but we'll see how it pans out. It might end up being more in their favour. I'm just surprised that that's what they went down instead of the box set. Meanwhile, the Fugitive Doctor and the Call Me Master sets will be a box set will be twice monthly box set, twice yearly box sets of, I believe, 3 stories each. So we're going to get 12 stories of each of those. Then they're going to come over the 2-year period of 2025 to 2026. So yeah, we've got lots to look forward to in terms of 13th Doctor audio content over the next 2 years, starting from January over to, I suppose, 2.5 years, from January next year to May, June 2027. So that'll be interesting, exciting. And yeah, personally, I like the 13th Doctor. She's not one of my favourites, but I do think she's good, despite maybe not being the best written, and Jodie Whittaker is doing her absolute best in the role. So I'm interested to see, or rather hear, how her Doctor and how she does as the performance work in audio format. Same with Mandip Gill's Yasmin Khan, who is great, but needed a bit of a personality check in Series 11, but thankfully Series 12 slowly but surely gave her a bit more, and then a pretty good character in Series 13 and specials. So bit of a bumpy ride with Yaz. If these audios speculated to maybe being between Series 12 and Series 13, so after Revolution of the Daleks and before Flux, the Halloween Apocalypse. So it's going to be in that gap, a bit like a bit like Redacted Series 1 was sort of in that time period. Was it? No, that came out last 2022. Okay, that one might actually be post Flux. Okay, that may be incorrect. I've still got to get around to listening to Redacted Series 2. If anyone's listened to that, is it good? I'm still going to get around to it. But yeah. But I'm sure these are going to be very interesting. And I'm also looking forward to hearing the Fugitive Doctor and Spy Master stories as well later down the line. We're going to have a teaser for the former with Coda. So we'll have a bit to look forward to. Maybe the Spy Master might make a cameo just before his adventures as well. And maybe 13 might as well. Not really sure at the moment, but we'll see how it goes. Some of the other Doctors have some nice little cameos in other ranges or series that are like exciting modes. I say that mostly once in future when the War Doctor's appearance was revealed, like especially as he wasn't actually in the original cast list when they announced it. So it was extra exciting, as was Jacob Dunman's 11th and 12th Doctors for all 3 of them in the Union. And now Jonathan Carney's War Doctor facing off basically against Jane Marston's Fugitive Doctor, and at some point they inevitably end up working together, even if they don't find out who the other one is. But yeah, this is going to be exciting. So, so if you're a fan of the 13th Doctor's era, or the 13th Doctor, Yaz, the Fugitive Doctor, and the Spy Master, you've got plenty to look forward to, especially if you wanted a Fugitive Doctor crossover with the War Doctor, because they're the 2 unnumbered ones. So you got that exciting unnumbered Doctor crossover. It wouldn't be the first time Once in Future featured one of the non-numbered Doctors. David Warner's appeared in the 6th story, the one of the Unbound Doctors. So yeah, that was an interesting crossover with the 9th Doctor. So yeah, it's going to be interesting the next couple of years. And of course, we've got plenty more adventures from the other Doctors over the next couple of years as well. As I mentioned, there's going to be a new War Doctor story next month, and we've got plenty more featuring other Doctors to look forward to. A 2nd Doctor one just came out recently, I believe, which continues the post-War Games 2nd Doctor adventures they're doing. And I believe the 8th Doctor is going to be having quite a few adventures across his timeline, some with Charlie and his new companion called Audacity, some with Liv and Helen, and some during the early years of the Time War. So, yes, there's going to be lots to look forward to. And with that, I say thank you so much for watching. Comment down below your reaction to the news. Be civil. Be civil. If you're not a fan of the 13th Doctor or the Fugitive Doctor or anybody else I've mentioned in this, that's fine. Just be civil and respectful about it. And if you absolutely loved them, also be civil about that. Not everybody is going to have that same opinion either. Okay, guys? Just keep it civil. And the same with discussing the era, which is actually not relevant anymore, apart from maybe comparing how it ends up being. But, you know, in terms of what that era was like, that's actually not that relevant to the news. It's you can compare it later once we actually get those audios out, and we can say, okay, this was done better, this was not done as well, etc., etc. Until then, don't even mention it. You know, just don't mention it, because otherwise we're going to get into another fight. Basically, I think everyone's going to get into more fights. Just don't mention series 1, 11 to 13. If you feel it's going to start up a riot, like, okay, just don't mention it. But otherwise, whatever you do mention, do be civil and respect other people's opinions. Yeah, and also have if you've got also with valid reasons or feelings. I will not say 13th Doctor bad because EU women, Fugitive Doctor bad, EU black person. Those are the invalid ones. Or more or least, they're amongst the invalid ones. So, valid and civil. Thank you. To quote the 6th Doctor from Faminate, you'll be my friend. And with that, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.